This is Chris Hansen.
Chad doing Rip City Radio here.
It's your favorite basketball player, Tyler Hansbrough.
This is Jamie Hudson.
This is TJ Houshmandzadeh.
And I'm going to let y'all know something.
Duke sucks and Duke will always suck.
You're listening to
It Just Makes Sense.
It Just Makes Sense.
Listen, this podcast is not about being right. It's about being entertaining and sometimes right.
Sounds like you were just mainlining ice cream and hot dogs.
Yeah.
Fight the Ozempic. Prove it wrong.
Fight the Zempi. Fight the Zempi.
And you're playing against somebody like Jokic, and you watch him be the inflatable at a car dealership, and then he's dropping 40-20 on you. That is defeating mentally. What else could we do to stop this guy?
And he's making it look easy. We're back. Clear eyes.
Full heart!
Can't lose.
Play like a champion!
You play for me. You come play. I haven't practiced with the defense. I just need you to cover 23. That's all I need you to do.
Is that just going to be like our off-season podcast content? Is just recreating the entire...
We just started redoing scenes from Remember the Titans.
Dibs on Sunshine.
Table reads.
Table reads. Live reactions where you don't get to also watch the movie. You just have to figure out what we're...
I sent you 365 letters, one for every day of the year I wasn't with you.
Is that Remember the Titans?
That's the Notebook.
I was like, wait a second.
But it was Alan from Remember the Titans. It's Ryan Gosling. There's a connection.
Now, can you quote another movie that a different actor from The Notebook was in? Like, what's her name? Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams. Anything from Mean Girls?
Or...
Get in, bitch. We're going shopping.
How long do you think you could play this game?
Dude, a long time.
She's
Are
a
you kidding?
fugly. Yeah, because then you can go, okay, like now you've got another person in that. Something.
Play this for hours.
You can't
Lindsay
repeat.
Lohan's Freaky Friday. Go.
Mom, where's my door?
Is that serious? That's probably...
Yeah, they took her door away.
Okay, so now you've got Jamie Lee Curtis, maybe?
Michael, don't kill me. I'm your sister.
What's that?
Halloween.
Halloween,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Okay.
wow.
Keep going.
Who else?
Michael Myers.
I guess you could go different Michael Myers, though.
Yeah.
Which would then be...
I don't know who else. I don't know who else is in Halloween outside of Jamie Lee Curtis.
Right. But I'm saying that, like, you could go Austin Powers, which is a different... It's Mike Myers, but, you know.
George Bush doesn't care about black people. Although it's Kanye West said that next to Mike Myers.
That would have been wild if Mike Myers said that.
Wow.
He was standing next to him.
He's not even American.
He's not, no.
What's Mike Myers? Canadian?
I think that's true, yeah.
We can go off the rails with this shit.
Wow, yeah.
Why are we here?
I don't know.
And then there's Beyonce, Heather Graham from maybe like...
Hangover.
Hangover. I don't know what she said. Something about Carlos.
I left and got coffee and left Carlos here. And then you guys were gone.
Okay.
Not as funny.
Also, I got to feed Carlos.
Great.
It's not Carlos. It's Tyler. Carlos is what the guys called him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then now you've got all the thing with Kim Jong. You complete me, ho. And then, yeah.
You said Kim. It's Ken Jong.
That's what I said.
You said Kim Jong, like the Korean.
I might have also said
A little
that.
bit of a slip up there.
Might be. Welcome to It Just Makes Sense. And that's how it goes. I did something very manly this weekend. I did.
So did I.
Did you?
Yeah, look at us.
Wow.
Who would have thought?
Me first or you first?
You go.
Okay.
Please.
I replaced my motor blower. I hardly knew her. I replaced the motor blower and the motor blower resistor in my car, which was basically like I had no control over the AC fan in the front. Sometimes it would come on, sometimes it would go off. So I replaced both of them. Boom shaka. Probably saved myself about $800. Only spent $100.
Very nice,
Yeah,
Pete.
I know this coming from the same guy who told you guys the story on this very podcast about how I thought something was wrong with my car, but in fact, I just didn't realize I was in 4-wheel drive. So we've come a long way.
Happens to the best of us.
Not manly, manly.
Yeah, so I did car stuff.
So that arguably could be more manly than what I did.
Sure, yeah.
But we went up to Detroit Lake. A part of having our spot is we have to do 16 hours of work up there cleaning
Like community service or something.
But it has to be at the campsite,
Gotcha.
improving it, cleaning, whatever.
Okay.
So the weekend that we went up there, one of the pipes to the sewage pump had broke.
Oh no! Oh, that's a terrible thing to come in on.
Yeah, but they had it had happened during the winter, so there was nothing in it. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't like gross or anything. But anyways, they had to dig it up, and they had all this rock that needed to be hauled down in wheelbarrows down this hill.
Yeah.
And I did probably 15 loads full of rock in wheelbarrows, and we finished the rock unloading, and I'm about to head back up to be done. Hopefully, they're like, "Oh, hold up! Now we need to put all this dirt into your wheelbarrows."
They pulled a Jesse on you.
Yeah, and then you have to take
you
it.
weren't done.
You had to take it up the hill.
Oh no, that's awful.
So I did one of those, and I snuck away.
You were like, we're
Yeah. So manly,
felt like-
manly, not manly.
That felt like 16 hours. So
Great workout, though.
Yeah.
all I heard was loads and finishing, and
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah, but my hands and my arms hurt very much.
I dug out the fence posts in my backyard for like the fence that just doesn't exist or never got built. And I had to dig 3 feet down to pull those things out. My forearms are still just killing me.
In the pad, the palm. Oh
Yeah,
gosh,
yeah.
even just pressing.
Everything hurts.
We've changed completely.
Yeah.
Usually our fat ass is talking about food.
Yeah.
And now we're doing all this stuff. I ate ice cream this week. Like
The
a
amount
lot
of
of
times that you said that you had ice cream, which was
I had ice
more
cream.
times than you were there days, which
And I
is
had a
impressive.
2-liter of Fanta Orange.
It sounds like you were just mainlining ice cream and hot dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
You know what? After I got married, I let myself go a little bit. Now he got married. He can let himself go.
It was for a weekend.
You can really let yourself.
You can really let
It was
yourself
for a
go.
weekend.
So who do you
fight
have to
the
impress?
Ozempic. Prove it wrong.
Fight the Zempi.
Skipped it 1 week.
Fight the Zempi.
No.
That's
Well-
good times though. Or a manly home improvement. You were just talking about other ways that you could diversify the pod, and I feel like
It's my own. It's my spin-off.
car talk, man stuff.
Car talking, man stuff.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Okay. Yeah. Or
Gastrointestinal infections.
yeah.
Yes.
What happens when you accidentally get a corn dog filled with cheese?
In your ass.
Oh.
Accidentally.
The age-old debate has come back around. I feel like we've even debated this on the podcast about 100 men versus one gorilla. I feel like that was
Has picked up
a
so
lot.
much fucking
Yeah.
steam.
I feel like we even talked about that in season 3 in the old garage.
We did.
Old
Why
setup
has it
with
picked up so much steam?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's so stupid. There's not any amount of men that could, unless you have weapons. What do you think a punch from the strongest guy in the world is gonna do to a fucking gorilla?
Yeah.
But
not-
it's not the punch of a single man. It's the ability to strategize. And if you have 100 men, 100 men could absolutely take down a gorilla.
But what's the objective? What's a takedown? To kill it, or to knock it out for a second?
I think to subdue it in any way.
Yeah, to submit it, I suppose.
Yeah,
You don't
whether
have to
that's
murder it.
Kill it, whatever.
It would murder you, but you don't have to murder it.
And don't get me wrong, this would never, in real and actual life, it would never happen, because you would have to have 100 people who are all about that life and ready to, because you're going to watch the first dozen dudes just get limb ripped off
Yeah.
of bodies, heads ripped off of bodies, and you still got to be like, I'm down.
Yeah.
I think
I've committed to this. I
Yeah.
have to.
it's
follow
really
through
fucking.
on it.
I know it's a talking point, but it's ignorant to think that even 100 men could take out a silverback. That's fucking dumb, dude.
Yeah.
But you've got to realize how many, like 100. That's a lot.
Like what we're talking about, a silverback fucking gorilla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, a punch, a kick, a fucking armbar or whatever from a human being times 100 is not going to affect a silverback.
Yeah, this is where I think that you're missing the point, though, and why I somewhat agree with Braxton.
You guys are dumb.
No. It's because you're talking about the strategy, right? Like the strategy of the silverback is to annihilate that. The side of the human is how can I manipulate this to have a chance? Like if you're saying like 1 for 1, I can't, because I saw like, oh, you like take a bunch of dirt and you throw it in its face so that then you can at least like get an edge on it,
Yeah,
right? You take
and-
a rock and you beat the
and
shit
like
out of
I
it.
said-
That's the only way that it works is if you cheat.
Yeah, but this is
But a silverback wouldn't.
there's no
Wouldn't
weapons.
know how to
We're
cheat.
talking about just people versus the gorilla. There's no rocks, there's no bricks, there's no guns, there's no knives, nothing.
Are you on dirt?
Are you on dirt? Yeah. What is
Okay,
the
let's say
environment?
that
You're-
you
you're
can
in a
fucking
concrete
use
box.
Are you on a concrete box? Then yeah, you're not
Because
winning.
let's imagine this: you have 5 dudes who approach the gorilla and basically get its attention. Yes, those dudes most likely going to be torn limb from limb. But while they are distracting the gorilla and he's preoccupied killing them, a dozen dudes come behind the gorilla, jump on his back, wrap their arms around his neck, take him down. Like the ability to strategize and the sheer number of people, eventually the gorilla is not going to have the stamina to take them down.
But that's where I think the question goes back to: what do you consider a win, and what's the objective? If you're being told that if you just hold him down for 15 seconds where he can't fight back, then yes. But if you're talking last man standing, you're not gonna kill a fucking gorilla unless you have a goddamn gun or a
They're
knife.
very
dude.
fast too. They're very
Well,
fast.
and that's the thing. You could choke out a gorilla.
Yeah.
Says who?
Like, do you think that you could like get
Yeah,
your?
that's a great point.
Your shirt,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Says
I don't
who?
know who says
Hold
that.
on,
You
let me
just
ask-
think you can go get behind a gorilla like it's a
ChatGPT.
UFC fight and it'll die or get choked out and black out? Dude, a gorilla is not a person. It's not like a person.
I don't know.
It's
just
absolutely ridiculous for people to
I
think
would
that they have a chance.
I would agree if we were talking 30 people. No fucking way. But the sheer numbers, the gorilla would not have the stamina to outlast 100 people who are down for the cause.
Again, says who? What do you know about a gorilla's stamina?
Okay.
You're assuming a gorilla is just like a stronger dude. It's not. It's a fucking silverback gorilla.
I'm
okay.
thinking of like the best athlete of all time, stamina times 2.
I am now going to give you guys official numbers and what ChatGPT would say about
Okay.
this. All right. AI has come up with the answer.
Cool. This is from Riggs Barstool. Great. We'll trust it. We'll trust it.
Okay, so the strength of a silverback gorilla is 4 to 9 times stronger than a trained adult human. It can deadlift over 1,000 pounds. Depending on its size, it can run up to 25 miles an hour and has a bite force of 1,300 psi, which is stronger than a lion's. It has thick skin, dense muscles, and is extremely powerful. They're incredibly territorial, and they fight fiercely. That is the advantages of the silverback. So, obviously, with the humans, you have the numbers, right? 100 people surround and exhaust this gorilla. Then there's the tactics. There's a coordinated efforts. Is there a way that we can take our clothes and try and like rig a thing where you can choke it out or something like that? If we're all naked or something like that, that's proven impossible. However, the likely outcome, according to ChatGPT, is that while the gorilla will initially maul dozens, it could kill the these people very quickly with just its brute force. ChatGPT thinks that 100 is just too many, and eventually the men would overwhelm it, and possibly there would be 30 to 50 casualties, but that man will eventually
Let's
prevail.
just focus on one thing you read there. A gorilla's bite is stronger than a fucking lion's.
Yeah.
Let's focus on that. Just that one
But
thing.
Yeah.
but again, I think that's the issue with your argument is your focus is so small. The fact is, 100 grown athletic men, the sheer numbers, because I agree with you in every sense that we just listed all those stats. A silverback gorilla, no doubt, one of the fiercest and scariest animals out there. But 100 men is just too much.
Yeah.
But you also keep questioning the stamina of a gorilla without real facts. Let's focus on the stamina that we know, which are human beings.
Yeah.
So you're questioning that a gorilla will get tired with 100 men. What happens when, let's say the gorilla kills 50 and you have the other 50 just like throwing haymakers or fucking choking him out, kicking his fucking legs? You don't think that, like, think about psychologically too. You are giving it your all, trying to take this fucking beast down, and he's not going anywhere. The stamina of a human being won't last as long as a gorilla.
And that's, I think, a huge part of this, because you're absolutely right, is the psychological side of it.
Yeah.
You have to, these individuals in this scenario have to be demented or on some kind of drug where their only mission is to kill this
If we
gorilla.
were to take this into like sports terms and thinking about how like sports, especially basketball, is a game of runs, right? Initially, like literally and figuratively, this gorilla is going to come out throwing haymakers, right? You have to be able to withstand that mentally and emotionally to make your way back. If it gets into you and psychologically you're psyched out, you're scared, you're timid, you're not ready for the moment, you could then not be as, formidable as one of those 100.
Or let's just say that you're psychologically tough and you're mentally strong. It's there. Your mental fortitude is there. How many times do we see in the UFC fight someone just gets knocked out with one punch?
Sure.
I mean, a gorilla could swing
They weren't ready.
and knock out one of the strongest guys, and he's out. That's one.
Then you got 99 more.
Yeah.
But then he can keep going,
But they're not lining up one by one, just waiting to
Yeah.
be socked by him.
but you don't think that no matter if we have, rest in peace, Kimbo Slice, one of the guys that I would put in that
I
100.
thought you were going to say Harambe.
Rest in peace, Harambe. Also.
No, that's animal.
Also, yeah.
But you don't think that after you see 5 guys get knocked out, there's not going to be a little hesitation when the rest of the guys go, I don't know. I don't know, dude.
You're exactly right. And that's exactly my point. It has to be, obviously, some fantasy land where literally they're like the fucking things on Last of Us. Like, their only objective is to try to kill this gorilla.
I wasn't even thinking, I've obviously been thinking about like the speed and like the punch force of a gorilla. The whole biting thing, that has now...
That'll kill him. That's over.
And like when you're thinking about like he bites you, that's not the way I want to go out for sure. And
Stronger than a
I'm not going to put that at the top of my list.
not going to put that at the top of the list of death wishes.
Another thing is, I don't think that gorillas would have the wherewithal to conserve energy. I think that it's like everything all at once.
Yeah.
Who says they would need to?
They just have endless energy supply.
They might.
I mean, we're
Got a lot
talking
of
about
energy.
the stamina, the endurance, the strength of multiple fucking men.
Yeah. So let's say that the stamina of a gorilla is comparative to 4 men. The
I mean, it said 4 to 9 times the strength of an average adult.
Yeah, so-
Trained adult. Yeah.
9 times. I think the humans still got him.
There you go. You did mention this Last of Us, and we have not been watching the second season. We want the whole thing to,
Oh, you're one of those, huh?
Yeah, we're those types. Same thing with Severance and all that. At what stage in a zombie apocalypse or a Last of Us do you believe you would die? Do you believe that you would die pretty quickly, or are you able to create the compound?
I think if it were, because a lot of zombie movies, they're hard to believe, but Last of Us is actually kind of a reasonable way for this whole thing to start. But I think in most cases, I would not last long.
Yeah.
Unless it's like the slow walking kind of old school zombies, maybe. But no, I don't.
And would you want to last long, right? Like, I mean, there's kind of that whole, like, fatalist type of thing where you just go, just take me out. I don't want to, figure out how to live through this.
Yeah, I think
just give up.
Maybe.
No.
Do you think you would live?
I don't think I would last that long, but I think I have a better chance of surviving longer if I'm by myself.
Yeah.
No, like, I don't know if you'd agree, but if I have to look out
historically, that has not been.
I don't need anyone
not
to
for
ruin
you
this for.
specifically.
No, but
I'm saying
what
in
I
general.
mean by myself is like you're not having to look out for anyone.
Right, yeah. I mean, you were literally...
But then you also don't have anybody looking out for you.
That's true. Like, when you sleep, you have no defense mechanism.
I would be.
Would you
I would have
domesticate a wolf?
I would have a better chance of just surviving longer by myself without relying on anyone or having to take care of anyone. I think people would just slow me down.
Yeah, but inevitably there are times where you will probably need to be taken care of. That's why it is nice to have that support.
Sure.
I'm thinking more of my wife, who has no survival instincts, so I would look out for
Okay,
her.
let's get right to it. You want
Ashley's gonna
Ashley,
get us murdered.
gotta go.
She's not going to be able
There
to
you
look
go.
out for me at all.
her.
There you go.
Take her. Take her.
All right, loud and clear.
Yeah, loud and clear. I do feel, I mean, we talked about being able to work on our cars and do man stuff. Should the internet not be available to me tomorrow, I don't feel great about my ability to, like, forage and, like, create something. I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't be able to, like...
You're technologically dependent at this point in your
exactly.
life.
Like, I don't
Like,
know if...
you know how much you've changed with how much you depend on technology? We can't have conversations without you looking things up. You cannot just, like,
It's
let
true.
it flow.
Yeah. I have
Yeah.
to have an answer.
It fucking bothers me so much.
I know it does.
It's like sometimes it's okay to have that mystery lingering where, like, we don't have to have an answer.
So you're mad that there's an answer to this gorilla thing.
No, I don't. I like to think I pride myself in, like, I'm not that dependent. I can survive without technology.
Yeah.
I appreciate places that we go where there's no cell phone service. I just don't think that I need to be that dependent on technology.
It scares me a little bit, especially more recently when I have child under who needs television as well. But, I understand. The dependence on and how easy it is to, like, say, I just know how to look this up. Yes, that's quite alarming.
Like, if
power goes out, I'm just like, what the hell do I do?
if
Not prepared.
as a fucking country or whatever, like, the world decides, hey, there's no more smartphones, we go back to just, like, a phone that dials and text messages, I am voting for it. I am all for it.
I wouldn't be totally against it either.
I would love it.
I'd at least, like, want my GPS back. Like, give me
Yeah,
that
can I get a Garmin?
Can I get my Garmin?
No, that's part
Mama
of the
Jillin?
fun. How did you
MapQuest?
Yeah.
How did you guys function when we started driving without a GPS system?
You would use
just got lost.
You would use landmarks.
And it was infuriating.
No, you didn't like that?
There are certain things
Like,
that
the
are, like,
reason
cathartic about getting lost, but not when you're, like, actually trying to get to, like, your cousin's soccer game or something.
The reason I know certain
I mean,
places
that's
is because I just
important shit.
drove
It was.
around. I just drove around and, like, figured out certain areas.
Yeah,
not
and, like,
have to-
sometimes
to
you
this
don't.
day, I could take you through Layton, Utah, like, no problem.
I learned how to drive in Vancouver, and I would just, like, find fucking places.
Yeah,
Sure.
but at least let me have MapQuest.
Good old map.
Let me print out the fucking directions.
I'm pretty sure MapQuest is still around. Allow me to use my technology here to prove this. And the reason why I'm going, RIP, by the way, to Skype. You know who really fumbled the bag was Skype. Skype just shut down totally. They were like the first people to ever do this like video call, right? And then COVID happened. And where was Skype?
They fumbled the bag.
They just absolutely fumbled the bag. So I don't feel bad for them because, like,
They got to the point where you can say, like, like Google me, Skype me.
Let's Skype tonight.
Yeah.
And then
They did.
And then they died. So I don't.
They could not adapt to, hey, let's create an app to make like House Party.
Sure.
I mean, that could have been, they could have been the House Party. I mean, House Party lasted 6 months that we used, like everyone used.
Yeah.
That could have been them.
Gosh, I mean, how nice for that to work out for House Party.
I took full advantage of Skype. I would for some reason it like connected with your
From jail.
No. From it connected with your Facebook. And so when I moved to Eagle Point and I didn't know anybody, I added all these girls who had Eagle Point High School in their Facebook profile.
Yeah.
And
Kind of creepy for a guy in his 20s. No, I'm just kidding.
and it would like show up on Skype like, "Oh, do you want to add your Facebook friend?"
Got it.
On Skype. And I actually hooked up with a couple girls
There you
because
go.
I was like, "Oh, let's chat on Skype," and we'd video call each
Yeah.
other.
And you fingered them?
Vibe out with them.
Thanks, Skype, for the finger banging.
Yeah, it was pretty sick, dude.
Is that a dog drinking water? Or is that
That's how it goes.
wet.
That's
Wet.
how it goes. Juan Magoo at his mini moon. You went to the coast.
I'm not telling you about the sex that we had.
Was it good?
It was too dirty.
Congratulations! Wow.
We disrespected that house.
Wow. So maybe I don't want the.
Yeah, so now
the
I
link.
definitely don't want to go.
Yeah, don't want the link. Or at least-
The cleaner was there when we showed
All
up.
right. Well,
The cleaner filmed.
we'll move on from that. Kind of a fun fact about this past weekend's Kentucky Derby. Sovereignty wins. Every single one of the horses in that race was a descendant of Secretariat. I thought that was fascinating.
I know.
It's a lot to come.
As
Yeah,
soon
there's
as
a
I
lot.
saw who won the Derby, I knew I would have lost money, and I'm glad I didn't bet because I always base off my pony bets to the name, and there's one name that I know I would have bet on. It was like Rich something,
Oh, sure.
Rich Strike.
Rich Strike or something like that. Like I know that I would have bet on that horse, and nope, it was like 80-1 or some shit.
Yeah. And this one was one of the favorites. But Sovereignty is not going to race at Churchill Downs, apparently, so not even going to try for the Triple Crown.
Tore his ACL.
No. Just
Everybody thought it was going to be journalism, though. Journalism was a heavy favorite, so
Yeah.
I'm glad to see there was a...
Bob Baffert is back. Apparently.
Yeah.
This podcast has survived an entire Bob Baffert suspension. So
Well, and I guess that people are a little bit mad that, they just kind of welcomed him back.
yeah, they put like his name back on all the barns and everything
nothing,
like that.
he got his spot back.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
Oops. Yeah.
So
He was all
who is old Bobby fucking? That's what we got to find
Well,
out.
how much money do you have? How
Winston
much
Churchill.
money do
Really?
you have?
Damn.
So,
What is the thing? I just saw this today. Now Adam Schefter is doing breaking news on Big Cat getting his kidney stone out. Is that like a
They're friends, and
so that's a real breaking news? That's not like a fucking Onion article.
no.
No,
So
I think
every once in a while,
he's been on their show before.
Yeah, he'll come on their show, and they'll be like, "Okay, let's find something stupid and funny for you to break," and he'll do it.
I was gonna say, is Big Cat big enough to like have a breaking news from
He's
Adam
got
Schefter?
one of the best podcasts or most listened to podcasts.
#1 sports podcast in the world.
Soon to be second.
Right on their tail.
Right on their tail. What gets them going?
with our 30 German streams.
All of them.
All the time. Let's see if we turn our attention to the NBA. I have lost a bet to Juan Magoo. I was very quick to
For $1,000 too.
$3,000 actually. I was quick to say that the Clippers were going to win this past weekend in Game 7. I thought that the script wanted Kawhi and James Harden and all that stuff to win. I forgot the one thing that I misjudged is not the Kawhi Leonard thing. It's the fact that James Harden just cannot play in a big game like this. He is just absolutely atrocious.
His beard weighs him down.
Yeah, he just absolutely disappears in big game 7s, and that continued once again. But then the Denver Nuggets took game 1 last night against the Oklahoma City Thunder, and then on the other side of things, the New York Knicks were down 20 to the Boston Celtics, and then they took game 1 as well.
So anyone that you had a bet on, failing you right now.
Yeah.
Cavaliers lost to the overrated
Oh, right.
Tyrese.
I have the Cavs on here. So
I think the Cavs were up 20 today and lost by 1 on a buzzer-beating 3.
from Halliburton. Yeah,
And
so they're
then
up 2-0.
You're also a believer in the Thunder winning the championship, and last night proved my point. They were up by 25 at some point against the Nuggets.
Yeah, they were up. It was a Thunder's game the entire time up until kind of towards the end there.
And then the championship experience with Jokic, I believe, had 42 points and 20-something
22
rebounds.
Yeah. 42 and 22
That's a
was his
couple.
game 1 line. So.
Dude.
Yeah, it was a rather interesting. Like, I had finished making dinner. I was watching that game as I was making dinner last night, and then they're up by a few points. The Thunder were, and I was like, they've kind of almost given this away, but they're going to end up winning. I totally just went and watched Saturday Night Live with my wife and totally missed the ending of that game until this morning. I was like, oh yeah, Aaron Gordon, how about that?
It's so fucking annoying watching SGA play. He's just flailing around.
He's drawing a lot of contact.
He's flailing around, and I think the Nuggets got it to within 4. It was like 115, 111. Jokic hits a 3. And then this shows how the Thunder, how young they are, how they fell apart. Holmgren gets fouled and missed both free throws. Nuggets
Chet?
get the rebound with 7 seconds left. Westbrook throws it to Aaron Gordon. Chet Holmgren, not only did he miss both free throws,
He was slow to get back.
the game winner was hit in his face.
Yeah.
The
Oops.
3 to go up, and then Denver wins.
Yeah, and
Not ready for the spotlight.
obviously Westbrook, the former OKC Thunder point guard as well.
It
So
would-
he got a good ovation. That was nice to see. Good
Should
for
have
him.
got KD.
It would be great to see Denver win a championship, and Westbrook gets his first championship.
That would be
pretty.
That would
And-
definitely be the way to
and
do
we
it.
win a couple $100.
Yeah, so if Denver wins the championship, $615, which, by the way, I am going to keep all of that until technically that is just all my money. So
We just lost the Lakers, right? 'Cause
we
the
did.
Lakers fucking failed us.
Yeah, now we've got
Celtics, Nuggets, and Warriors.
yeah,
Celtics, Nuggets, Warriors.
yeah, correct.
We win the least with Boston, but Warriors and Denver.
We are finally now, after that game 1 win by the Nuggets, have a bigger payout than our bet, just by a couple of dollars, but it's the first
Beautiful.
one to have done that so far.
And then did you see Embiid's tweet?
I did not.
He goes, "Oh, Jokic beat Kawhi Leonard in a Game 7. That's cute." Of all the people to
Right.
talk shit, it's the guy who can't play through a 7-game series.
For sure.
Who got gifted a fucking MVP, who Kawhi sent crying with a final shot
Yep.
against the Raptors. Like, why do you feel the need to talk shit,
Why?
dude?
Why say anything?
Right.
That's dumb.
And then
He's jealous
former-
of fucking Jokic.
Yeah, it's former teammate and James Harden, who absolutely shit the bed that night. But then you have, okay, so game 1, Thunder, fall. Let's talk about the Celtics. The Celtics made history in their game 1, not only giving up a 20-point lead, which the Knicks comeback was their largest in franchise postseason history. The Celtics missing 45 3-pointers in game one. At a certain point, I think that they missed over 30 in the second half. I want to say it was like 37 in the second half. I know what the analytics say, but at a certain point, and I know that this podcast has talked about gut versus analytics a lot, and I want to bring it back to this. Do you just trust the analytics and say eventually these are going to fall? Or do you just say we've got to get inside and draw some contact regardless of a guy like Jaylen Brown who it goes 0 for 9 and then finally goes 1 for 10 and you go, hey, he got one. They start to fall.
Of all the of all the top teams that lost in the last few days, I am the least worried about Boston.
Yeah.
Because,
it's a wake-up call for them.
Well, you're talking about a team that missed 43. I mean, they had over 100 field goal attempts. They had over 85 three-point attempts and made 20-something of them. This is also a team that could make 43s.
Yeah.
They lost by 2.
They shot in the whole season they've shot more threes and they've made more threes. So naturally, like, this is not new for them.
Let's replay the same game again. You don't think they'll make at least 1 or 2 more?
Right.
They're not going. They're going to win the series. I am not worried about them at all.
Do you think that the Knicks win another game?
Yeah, the Knicks are good enough
They'll
to win
take
another
it to
game.
6. At
Yeah,
least.
but Boston's not losing this series. They are too good. They have too many bodies that are experienced. They have Drew Holiday. They have Derek White. It would have taken 1 or 2 threes for them to win that game. They were just chucking it up. I mean, they were getting all the fucking shots. They were just
And the likelihood
launching them.
of a game happening like that again, where they miss so many, is low. I agree with you, Miguel. I don't have a lot of concern.
You would be more concerned about a team that had bad body language, that were making not even bad decisions, but like they are trying to fish for fouls, not getting them. They just look defeated. But that's not the case for Boston. They just miss shots.
Yeah. I will say though, the Knicks, very fun to watch. Like the vibes when the Knicks are good, it's kind of fun to see.
Yeah, Knicks fans were going crazy last night.
Yeah.
But let's see, 45 of the Celtics 3-pointers in game one. There were 32 of them were uncontested. So they don't hit those. They make a couple more. They win game one. We're kind of like, going back and forth between the Thunder and the Celtics here. We talk about like good teams and veteran teams find ways to win games, and it's interesting that the Nuggets defeated the Thunder 3 times this year by coming back from and overcame a double-digit deficit in that game. Kind of interesting.
Psychologically, that fucks with you too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to play these guys over and over in a 7-game series. I can see the Thunder rolling over. If they lose another game at home, psychologically, with all these young guys with no experience, you can be like, we can't beat these guys.
Right.
And they could lose in 5.
It's kind of like, okay, we get up, and then you let your foot off the gas, and it's like these other teams know. Like, yes, that there's no 20-point shot that exists, but they can start picking away at those leads.
Think about you're playing sports, right? And you are in shape. You are in peak shape. You're an athlete. And you're playing against somebody like Jokic. And you watch him. And you watch him be the inflatable at a car dealership. Not in shape. Kind of fat. And then he's dropping 40-20 on you.
Yeah.
He's hitting threes. He's making great decisions. That is defeating mentally.
Yeah.
Like, what else could we do to stop this guy?
And he's making it look easy.
And if you decide to triple team him, then you have playoff Jamal Murray. You have playoff Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Russell Westbrook. What the fuck do you do with them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hard to kind of swallow when you're like, we can't do anything.
Especially with the youth that they have. Mentally, they're probably...
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of that, like, age-old, like, kind of what was the crux of a lot of bets, kind of going into this. So, yes, I mean, we saw, and we'll talk about how the Warriors knock off the Houston Rockets here momentarily, but you have a team that is very good in the regular season, that dominated in every sense of the word, but it's the first of 4 in these games, and there are certain teams that are built for these moments or have the experience.
I think it's
they
also
cannot be discredited.
Whether or not you're using this information for sports betting or like your own fandom or whatever, I think it's somewhat comical to focus on the regular season when you have a lot of guys doing load management. You're not playing a lot of the stars, and you win 60 games. Cool, fucking great. But now you got guys turning it on for the playoffs, and you have to play them possibly 7 times.
Yeah.
That is a completely different animal when you go from the regular season to the playoffs, because now this is where you see people like Jimmy Butler turn it on, like Steph, like Jokic. There's no off button in the playoffs anymore, and you're getting their best. And then if you can't handle that, it doesn't matter if you won 65 games in the regular season. It's fucking over for you.
Yeah.
So the Warriors use their experience to defeat the Houston Rockets. Obviously, they had, Fred VanVleet, and they've had Dylan Brooks, who has playoff experience, despite how little it was. I wanted to bring up this quote that Draymond Green had on Dylan Brooks, which was an article from Yahoo. He says, "Nobody on the court respects you," is how Draymond Green, talked to Dylan Brooks. Draymond was Draymoning in that series, flailing, getting flagrants and technicals. Even the broadcast, Mike Breen, who is, as buttoned up as it gets, said that this act by Draymond is just tired. And of course it is. And I don't want to go down this, thing that we've already kind of hashed out when it comes to Draymond, but it's just, it continues to be annoying.
But that
continues to not change.
kind of proves Draymond's point, though. His act is tiring. It's over. Yeah, you've got championships out of it. But Dylan Brooks is a smaller version of Draymond Green.
Yeah.
So if Draymond Green is a joke, you are a fucking joke. Dylan Brooks is a fucking joke. You don't bring that much as much to the table as he does, and there's probably a lot of people that don't respect Draymond. So you think that there's not a bigger number that thinks you're a fucking joke?
Right. And then as we record the podcast, the Warriors are up by nearly 20 points over the Minnesota Timberwolves in Game 1 of that series. Draymond himself has 16 points, leading all scorers, in fact, in that game. So how about it for Draymond?
Still got it.
Yeah.
It's funny witnessing Jimmy Butler's first stint with the Warriors and how we've seen this over and over. We've seen it in Chicago, we've seen it in Minnesota, and then we've seen it in Miami. This is the stage of happy Jimmy. He's happy, his joy is back, but give it a couple seasons. And then you see cancer Jimmy Butler really hating everyone.
If they win a championship, that might help.
That might change things.
Well, I mean, then he's looking for the max deals again, and we'll see.
It's
So it
just
might buy another year or something.
Jimmy Butler is a roller coaster of a fucking NBA player. Happy Jimmy, falling apart Jimmy.
Yeah.
And this might be naive of me to say
The
this,
honeymoon stage.
but I do think that having Steph there to kind of keep him under his wing a little bit might also be a benefit. Because I like Jimmy in Golden State. I think it makes sense.
Well, also, I think we've seen this get proven over and over. I don't think there's a more humble superstar than Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Somebody that's willing to take the back seat. Somebody that doesn't. It's almost like he looks in the mirror and doesn't understand who he is. Because Steph is like, I don't know how other people feel about him, but like Steph to me is top 10. It's like, do you look in the mirror and you don't see Kobe, you don't see LeBron? Like, you are in this conversation, but he doesn't get the same calls. He doesn't get the same treatment. And it's like superstars can come in and stuff's like, yeah, you take it. Cool. I'll be here if you need me.
I think that's because he knows exactly who he is.
Yeah. Huge advantage to like superstars coming in to play with him.
Exactly.
Right, versus like the argument about other, like with Dame and CJ, for instance, how no one wanted to play with them because they were like, when am I going to get to shoot the ball? Yeah. Versus like Steph, who was like, we know is one of the greatest scorers of all time, and it's just kind of like, yeah, you do you. I'll be here. Like you said, I'll be here.
I think if there's ever any doubts on how Steph is as a teammate, just look at the fact that Draymond Green's still there.
Yeah.
Take any superstar that Draymond plays with. You think they'll have the patience and all of that to like deal with him? Steph has figured it out
and never said a bad thing about him.
Never aired any dirty laundry. Never. Nothing.
Yeah, it's you can tell. I'm sure anybody who's still in that organization with Draymond has learned the concept of, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything.
Also, I think that's
unless it's to another someone like Dylan Brooks who says no one respects you. So.
But it's not like we have any facts on what happens behind closed doors. But Steph seems to me like the type of guy that if there is any animosity or anything like that, he talks to Draymond in private.
Sure.
He doesn't do it with the media.
Not gonna send a warning shot out.
He'll be like, "Hey, let's talk this out. Like, you're doing way too much, dude." And you're more of a detriment than an asset to the team now. And I feel like these are private conversations that someone like Draymond Green would respect.
Yeah, for sure.
Steph's not going on podcasts talking shit about people or anything like that.
Let's see other things in the NBA. Obviously, we know that the Lakers went down. There was a lot of talk about the inexperience and how JJ Redick has kind of lost.
That was all on JJ.
Lost that. And then some people were like, and I wonder if this is fair because you obviously saw him at Duke, and then like this happened throughout his pro career, is that it's just like whenever the big moment show comes up, he's kind of James Harden's himself. That he doesn't know how to perform in those like high stakes environments.
No, I don't know if I would agree with that. He didn't win a championship in college, but JJ Redick showed up in big moments in college.
Sure.
I don't think you can take his experience as a basketball player to him being a coach. He did fold under pressure as a first-year coach. Because the thing with the NBA is you're not necessarily doing X's and O's, but the bigger things that people rely on you to do is time management and being able to play certain players at certain times. They got killed by not having a big. He didn't play any centers. It doesn't matter if they're not as good as the opponent. He did not sub out and in well. He folded under pressure as a first-year coach. If you watch that game where they got eliminated, they looked defeated from tip-off.
Yeah.
Their body language was fucking dead.
Wasn't it the failed trade? Was that not Grant Williams?
Mark Williams.
Mark Williams, thank you. He was tweeting after that series. He either like had an emoji or said something to like throw a little bit of shade at the Lakers. Obviously they tried to acquire him at the trade deadline. He fails his physical. That trade doesn't go through. But that would have been the big that you were saying they didn't have. You're playing against Rudy Gobert. We're not talking about Shaq.
Right. They had Jackson Hayes. They had another big. Just put a 7-footer against them to not let him drop 27 points and 24 rebounds. That's all you need. You need a body there. But, again, I'm not too worried about J.J. Redick. He's way too smart, and he's way too mentally there to, let this affect him in the future. It's just a learning experience.
How much of a runway do you think he has in L.A., though?
As long as LeBron gives
being
him
buddies with LeBron, as long as LeBron's there.
Yeah,
because he has the relationships with the players, but he has the relationship with the players, which will get him far in that organization. If he has another playoff series that goes like this, that shortens that leash a little.
Yeah. It becomes a pattern.
Yeah, then maybe he'll get 1 or 2 more years. But if that doesn't happen, let's say they don't even win a championship, but he gets the second round or the Western Conference Finals or something like that, he's not going anywhere. He's a good enough. He got him to the 3 seed in his first year and won over 50 games.
Yeah.
They just had personnel issues, and he didn't know how to manage the people and the time. And that is the main thing he's going to learn in the offseason and study. He's way too much of a student of the game to not improve that.
Of the teams that are down in their series, and obviously Cleveland has played one more game, so you have the Thunder, Celtics both down 1. Then you have the Cavaliers now down 2 games to the Pacers. Which one are you most concerned about if you were to say, like, this team is not going to advance?
Which one am I concerned about that's down?
Yeah. Because obviously, like, I mean, you're talking about, you've already said you're not concerned about the Celtics.
Probably
So,
Cleveland.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess the 2 games is a lot bigger than
Well,
one. At
it's
this
not
point.
just the
They
2
lose
games,
both
but
games at home.
as talented as they are, Evan Mobley's hurt, Garland is hurt, and DeAndre Hunter is hurt.
Yeah.
So the injuries with Cleveland makes it tougher for them to climb over that hill, especially being down 2-0. I'm not worried about Boston, and the Thunder is still there. So I am most worried about Cleveland.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Thunder respond in Game 2, for sure. This series totally turns on its head if the Nuggets take both games in OKC.
They're not winning in Denver, so they have to take care of shit at home. 'Cause
Yeah.
They're not winning in Denver.
What about you, Brax?
I mean, my concern would also be with the Cavaliers, but if you were to ask me which of the teams in the lead is most likely to lose it, I would probably say the Pacers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
Halliburton's on a tear.
Yeah.
Being called overrated has sparked a fucking fire in him, and he is.
Yeah, maybe his dad being banned from the stadium is a good thing.
Yeah.
Right, that was pretty wild. I don't think we were recording, and I think we said, like, the game had ended. We had no idea what had transpired as we were saying, oh, yeah, they won on a thing. The series is over, and we were still kind of recording at that time. We had no idea that
That went about as smooth as it could have gone, though. You know, it's like owning up to what you did and accepting the ban. No fight back, no nothing.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like, it was pretty ridiculous for him to get in Giannis's face, but you couldn't have done it to a more, like, one of the more humble players.
Sure,
that, you know, it's
maybe
not
the wrong guy to do that.
But
too.
like, look, Ja Morant's dad. How many times should that guy have been banned?
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
that dude is
Never
fighting
would,
with fucking Shannon Sharp and players since like never been called out. It's like they received it well.
In playoff history, 34 teams have successfully overcome an 0-2 deficit to win a series. The last time that happened were the championship Milwaukee Bucks in 2021 against the Phoenix Suns in the finals, actually. Ooh. So the comeback rate is 7.4% for the Cavaliers now to come back, statistically speaking. So
what, outside of bets, as a fan of basketball, what final matchup would you want to see?
As a fan?
Just as a basketball fan, no bets on the line. What is the best, most exciting finals matchup?
I mean, I would absolutely love to have the Knicks in the finals. I would love to see just like the atmosphere, the crowd,
I
just
think
like there's so much good stuff to come outside of the game that I would just
the finals at the Garden. It would be pretty incredible.
Yeah, people are starting to resurface like the
the celebrities that'll bring out with
yeah.
fucking New York, a big market being back in the finals. It's been since what, 99?
It's been a long. I couldn't even
Patrick
tell you.
Ewing days.
Yeah, I could not even tell you. So I would just love for the pomp and circumstance of it all to have the Knicks at this point. It's not going to happen.
From the West.
I'm just still Thunder at this point for me.
Yeah, the Thunder, the Nuggets, I think would be fun.
I just want to see the Thunder try it, right? You know, we saw this with the Celtics and how they didn't overcome the hump. I just want to see, and Sam Presti, the GM, just won Executive of the Year yet again. Of course he should. That should just be etched on his name for at least the next 5 years, considering still all the picks that they have and all the unrealized returns on investment for them.
I wish I could say the same thing. Because seeing a small market make it to the finals is always a great thing.
Yeah, Milwaukee doing it was great.
Can't stand watching Gilgeous-Alexander play basketball. It's the same feeling I have with James Harden. I can't stand watching him play. I can't stand watching him not go for shots to make it, but to like make contact.
I would say that Gilgeous-Alexander is far better of a scorer than James Harden.
Okay. No, he was not.
You don't think so? I think that I think that he attacks and doesn't like. I understand like what you're saying. He draws a lot of contact, but I think that the contact that he draws is more fair contact than what James Harden ever has.
This is
the guy games the game.
Absolutely,
I don't think that Gilgeous-Alexander.
A recency bias
Maybe.
take from you. He is not even close. As much as I fucking hate James Harden, he is not even close to the scorer that James Harden was in Houston.
Disagree.
There's fucking facts and numbers that prove this. The number of 50-point games in his MVP season. You're talking about the best gamer of the fucking game is the guy I can't stand in James Harden.
Yeah.
Gilgeous-Alexander is a fucking toddler compared to James Harden at this point. It is not even close, dude. It is an absolute insult to James Harden to say that Gilgeous-Alexander is close to him right now.
But when we get to at this stage, though, if we're looking at like comparison at stages in career, would you not argue that Gilgeous-Alexander is ahead of where James Harden was?
No.
You don't think so?
It's like 5 more seasons of doing this.
All right.
Have you guys ever thought about kissing?
We have multiple times, actually. Not just thought about it, actually.
James
done it.
Harden was such a great scorer. Dude. But you remember him from losing the Game 7, disappearing like in every playoff series.
I just absolutely hate James
It's
Harden.
not
So
close.
nothing that you say. Like, I like Gilgeous-Alexander. I hate James Harden.
I do agree with New York. I want a Knicks finals appearance against Golden State.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I think that
And Golden State wins that series.
Well, I think
that would be very fun.
I think Steph Curry is one championship away, and regardless of individual awards, I think he's one championship away for people not being able to deny that he is in that conversation.
I mean, the Knicks are built were built for one reason, and it was to combat beating the Celtics. I mean, like, obviously, like, they're constructing their team to win, but, like, they constructed their team to eventually play the Celtics to say when we face them, if we face them in the playoffs, we believe we are positioned from a roster to beat them. And, I mean, obviously...
So far, so good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit fluky there in the first game, but, you know, you can't take away... A game up on that is a game up regardless of how it happened.
Yeah, and
gives you the momentum, gives you the fan support, all of that, the belief that it could possibly happen.
Yeah, and you know, you got to take those games when you can.
Yeah,
can get them,
don't never apologize
Yeah.
for sure. You found a way to, regardless of their misses, you found a way to overcome the 20 points. So
yeah,
that will happen. That will happen.
The Villanova
indeed.
guys is really what's pulling New York.
Yeah, well, sans
Bridges.
the Nover boys.
The Nover boys.
sans DiVincenzo, but
Yeah, he's the worst out of all of them.
no,
He's not better than Josh Hart,
maybe not.
Bridges, or Jalen Brunson.
But that was fun to see. Like, I loved the.
Are you guys
the
going to
New
yell
York,
again?
I love seeing the New York Villanovas or whatever. So, let's see. A couple of NFL news and notes. Justin Tucker found his way off of the Baltimore Ravens. End of an era.
Dude, and honestly, good riddance. If you ever have a player who does something like that on your team,
Get rid of him right
oh
away.
gosh, definitely don't pay him.
Definitely don't
Millions
give
of
him a
dollars.
guaranteed contract. He's the same. He's
massage
he's
therapist,
the Deshaun
jerk me
Watson
off
himself.
thing.
Really?
Yeah.
At
When
least
does this news come
alleged.
out?
Well, that was like last season, and then now like it's like
It's become realized.
it's become, and I think doubled down on, and
Yeah.
they just were like, well, he was not as accurate, and now he's old, and this is becoming too much of a PR thing. So
Yeah, and I
bye-bye.
think the evidence became more got to the point where the team had to cut ties.
Are we really starting to blame this on the athletes, or are there way too many happy ending places? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
louder for the people in the back?
right? Yeah, maybe louder.
Victim blaming.
Yeah. So, you know, future, I mean, unless he, you know. There's a
Kickers
lot
are
of
a
bad
dime a
guys.
dozen.
Yeah, there's
He's-
maybe. you
He's washed. He's done.
know, but
holds the record, doesn't he, for longest? Or no, that was
he hit that one against the Lions. That one that went off of it doinked off the bottom of the crossbar and went in.
That's right.
I think that was at least a tie or maybe beat the record.
Yeah.
I remember watching that game live. It was insane.
Was that the game where they were like going back and forth breaking the record?
I think that might be right. Yeah.
Because they broke it like 3 times in one game or tied it or something.
I think you're probably right there. So, I said that there were going to be multiple things, but then they'll figure it out. I think that's just kind of the only other thing that I had. I had that, I guess, what do you guys think? Abdul Carter, I guess, was looking to get his number released by, what's his bucket? Lawrence Taylor. And I think
there's another one.
Well,
Phil Simms.
But I think Warren Moon ended up giving his jersey up. And so then it's like, but at this point, like,
why is it such a big deal? Pick a different fucking number.
Exactly.
Just get your own fucking number.
Yeah. Dude. And then it's like,
why do you want to carry somebody else's legacy? Like, pick your own fucking
and
number.
What gives you the right to think that you?
Who do you think you are?
Kind of. I mean, like, where are we at here? Where you're thinking I can go up to a Lawrence Taylor, Warren Moon, and be like, bro,
dude, cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Okay?
You're kind of giving people a reason to like not cheer for you. You know, doing all this shit in the off season.
Yeah, you're giving them a reason to cheer against you.
Yeah, I just don't know like what you have earned in order to
the 3rd overall pick.
Right. It just feels like I don't know. Like I don't know if this feels old hat-y or whatever. It's just like where's the kind of respect for the elders in a way? Like is that really old man to say? Like the audacity to think that you can ask for a guy like Warren Moon or Lawrence Taylor or other, Hall of Famers. There's a couple of numbers here and there where you just go, okay, you can make a case for it, but not those guys.
And
I mean, come on.
Honestly, I don't know. I think once you ask one person and they say no, it's like, okay, I shot my shot. I'm gonna just get my own number. To go to 2 other individuals, be like, well, can I get yours? And then, oh, well, you're my 3rd choice.
Right. Just get your own number.
Just get your own, dude.
Yeah, and why not make it, I know that, like, growing up, it just becomes this whole thing. But when you get into the pros, make your own name. Make your own, like, if you think that you can get to that type of prosperity, you should, I think, not want that number. You should want to forge your own path with a new number.
Yeah.
But
I also think at this point, because the NFL is deep into the offseason, you're having these guys with podcasts or like just the platform to talk about certain things, and there's not really anything within the game that you can talk about, so you're kind of pulling off, random
small
shit.
things, sure.
But I heard a comparison, and this is kind of, I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. I like the person it's going up against, but the comparison between Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts on how we're talking about a 2-3-time MVP versus Jalen Hurts, and how people are saying that the only reason Jalen Hurts has had the success in the league that he's had is because he's been carried. And people are like, why would you say such a fucking horrible thing? And then they did side-by-side stats on like their running backs and their top receivers and their top tight ends. And it's like, it's been the same, if not Lamar Jackson has gotten Mark Andrews more yards. Zay Flowers versus A.J. Brown, and then Saquon and Derrick Henry, and then Hurts was still able to pull it off. And it's kind of like throwing Lamar Jackson under the bus, but at the same time, it's like give more respect to Jalen Hurts. He's not just being carried there like he's fucking Brad Johnson from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And I think that, like, to some respect, Lamar Jackson was carried a certain way as well because, very good defenses from both teams. Again, some great offensive lines. Obviously, like, you have the Haloti Nadas of the Ravens and so on. But then I think that there is... I mean, we've gone up and down. I think we've talked about it on the podcast. We're just like almost like how identical these guys' numbers have been. at the certain stage of their career. So I think that I'm not the one to absolutely stand up for Jalen Hurts, but I think that both quarterbacks have benefited from well-run franchises that have tried to build their team, not thinking that like the quarterback is the end-all, be-all to take you to the promised land.
At the end of the day, it's a never-ending talking point because it is absolutely silly to think that a quarterback is just doing it by himself.
Sure.
In any team sport.
Yeah.
You need somebody to throw to. You need somebody to take the heat off of you in throwing and running the ball. You could always take away credit from someone in a team sport, which will never make sense because Jordan needed Pippen, Shaq needed Kobe.
Yeah.
All these guys need somebody to throw
Sure.
to. It's like, it's not tennis.
Yeah, but you do need a very good quarterback, and usually you see, teams getting that quarterback in the first round. I feel like a couple of weeks ago, right around the draft time, people were saying like, oh, how many quarterbacks that were drafted, I think it was outside the first 2 rounds, have actually won a Super Bowl this millennium. And I think it was like 4.
Damn.
Something, I couldn't tell you those names.
What was that again?
That teams that have won the Super Bowl that have a quarterback that was drafted outside of the first 2 rounds. And that was 4. And I don't remember, like Russell Wilson was obviously one of them. You had a really random name in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the early 2000s.
That's Brad Johnson.
Brad Johnson, yeah. And then, but then every other one, and obviously you have repeat ones as well.
Joe Flacco.
With Tom Brady being one of them, and then there was a 4th.
So there's 7.
Well, no. Like
okay.
You're just saying like
Not
individual,
repeats,
not
yeah.
like your individuals.
Yeah.
And then the other years being first round,
Also,
or second round.
Speaking of anyone who definitely takes advantage of their platform and sometimes says the most absurd shit, is Cam Newton. Cam Newton going back a couple months and saying that Ashton Genty absolutely 1,000% deserved the Heisman over Travis Hunter, and saying that he got CMC'd because Christian McCaffrey at Stanford definitely deserved the Heisman with better stats than Derrick Henry that year. But because Derrick Henry, Alabama, Christian McCaffrey, Stanford, could not get as much eyes on it or exposure on it. So
Right. And then you have the age-old, Pac-10 versus the SEC at the time.
Might be the only thing I agree that this stage of Cam Newton in podcasts says.
It actually was on.
You found the one
on
thing.
one for
Loved him as a player, but Jesus Christ, he's like Antonio Brown in a way, just saying the most absurd shit.
He's always getting them comments.
What's up with that?
What's up with that, Cam?
What's up with that? I mean, come on, what are you doing, Cam? What are you doing?
Oh, man.
That's all I've got, boys.
All right, let's freaking ski battle.
Watch the second half
Skeet,
of the Warriors.
daddle.
Clear eyes.
Full hearts.
Can't lose.